About 3 months ago, I was faced with that annual task of planning my new year. But this time, something was different. It was almost as if a switch had been flipped in my brain, and suddenly, the way I've always planned my years didn't suit me. So I sat down with myself and began formulating a new plan, one that matched the change I had seen in myself, one that fitted this new era, one that aligned with this chapter I was going into. And after about a week of yeses and nos, figuring out what I thought would or would not work, I was left with a brand new plan for me to test out in this upcoming year. What is it that makes a year plan perfect? In this new year plan, there are three things that I base it off of. One, a clear vision and purpose. Two, actionable structure. And three, alignment to my core values. With the combination of all three of these things, I created a brand new plan that I think will get me through my 2025 year happily, at the end, impressed with how far I've grown. Starting with the first point, vision and purpose. Now, what is that? Let me give you an example. For the past few years, whenever it came down to creating my New Year goal, I would list off 20 different things I wanted to accomplish in the new year. And we all know how that goes. The first week, 2 weeks, maybe the first month, you throw yourself into it with all that you have. Well, you can't do that for an entire year. It's just not sustainable. And so I would generally get to the end of that year and realize, yes, I've made some growth. Yes, I've accomplished some goals, but I really didn't stick to the plan I had set. And so in this year, I decided to do something a little bit different. I had to sit down with myself and decide on two goals that I thought were the most important for me to follow. And those goals ended up being my writing practice and my career growth slash financial stability. When I was crafting these goals, when I was crafting this plan, I decided to settle on a word of the year. Now, this word of the year concept is not something that I have created. I've heard it floating around and I've even tried it before, but it didn't really seem to help. But this year, I truly sat with myself and the word discovery came to me. And so I decided, okay, this year will be about the art of discovery. Another part of this plan were my two core motivators that really tied into what this vision was about. I had my why and my North Star goal. Now, my why is the motivation that I would need whenever I wanted to sit down, not accomplish a task, not follow the outline that I had set for myself. In depth statement that ties into your goals, your dreams, your desires, and it's a reminder of why it is that you are putting in this effort, why it is that your future self should continue putting in effort. Now, if you don't have a why for whatever it is that you're working towards, then was it truly something that you value and you want in your life? Maybe it's time to rethink what it is that you're trying to focus on for the year. The North Star goal is the culmination of the two goals that I set for myself, along with a few other things that I wanted to focus on in the year. And it's all in 1 to 2 sentences. Let me read that for you. My North Star goal is to shape a strong future blending career success, creative progress, and intentional financial planning while staying true to passions, values, and resilience. This is no simple goal. This goal has depth. This goal ties together all the things that I stated were important to me. My why, oh, to build a life of freedom and creativity where my art and writing reflects who I am while achieving financial stability. Through growth and learning, I aim to express myself fully, contribute meaningfully, and enjoy the freedom to explore life on my own terms. Why am I doing this? I want freedom. I want to be able to create. I want to be able to contribute to the world around me. These are all reasons. My goal, oh, I want to get that financial stability, not just to have money, but to have the freedom attached to it. This isn't just about growing wealth, it's about learning how to manage it. And it's things like this, your why, your North Star goal, that keeps your vision clear. Let me re-clarify something. So I have my two main goals of the year, but I also created something that I call my goal pyramid. The top tier are my two main goals. Everything that my year is based off of is reflected in these top two goals to some extent. Next, I have second tier. These are still things I want to focus on, but they're not as important as those top two goals. Then the third tier, journaling, self-help, physical activity, because these are all practices that I already incorporated into my life. I still want to keep them at the forefront of my mind, but I don't really feel the need to write them into my calendar, to write them into my weekly, monthly, quarterly plan. Let's move on to the next point, an actionable structure. Now, in past years, I've kind of just thrown everything right into my year saying, okay, I have 365 days to get this done. Now, we can all see why that might be a faulty plan. This year, I broke down the year into 4 quarters and then outlined each of those months within each quarter with the 4 pillars that I listed earlier, tying back again to the word of the year. Each of those 4 pillars associates itself with each of the 4 quarters. And so each of those 4 quarters and their months within them are broken down into subsections where I work on something towards said pillar. In my calendar, I went in and I said, what is it that I can do weekly? Once a week, twice a week, however many times, what I need to keep track of in order to, hit those target points one step at a time. You'll walk a mile by the end of that year. Mind you, I don't just do everything for 1 month and then cut it off. No, these things slowly start to build. So again, at one point in the week, work on public speaking. Set aside an hour or two. It doesn't need to be this huge amount of time where you're pouring your everything into these different steps. It only takes consistent action over the course of time. And of course, once you've gone through a period of growth, I think it's important to change your environment, even if it's just temporary, and see what parts of yourself have changed and evolved and see what that looks like. And December, of course, is a reflective month. I'm not adding anything extra on the final month of the year. That is my month for planning and seeing what went well, what didn't. Now, at the end of each quarter, I incorporated something within this plan to give me the flexibility to change. Now, if I'm going through and I realize, okay, I know I said it was a goal, but it doesn't feel like it aligns to me and I want to take it out of the year, that's okay. Because in my plan, I understood that I would need to be flexible with myself. Now, of course, I can't decide, I'm not going to do this thing mid-month, mid-quarter, because you haven't really had enough time to think about that. And you're probably in the moment and again, not wanting to do something. But I think that kind of toughing it out for some period of time is actually very helpful for you to see why you think it wouldn't work out. So, to recap, the clear vision, which is key, right? If you create a vague goal and it's up to you, up to whoever sees it to kind of figure out what it is, of course you're going to make excuses for yourself because you left room for so much flexibility that you could not complete this task and it would still technically be completed. Well, of course, that does not make sense. So, having an actionable structure where you are specific with what your plans are, with what your goals are, but it's broken down into a structure that you're able to manage. And so that makes it easier for you to want to continue on, for you to be able to follow this outline because you're not tossing all these things on top of yourself January 1st and expecting yourself to carry it on until the end of December. And then finally, this is something that has always been important to me. I base all of my goals, all of my actions off what my core values are. We kind of all do subconsciously, and I think that it's important, at least for me, to have my core values visible to me so I can actively, not subconsciously, make decisions based off of what these values are. And the reason this is so important to me is because your core values make up who you are as a person. So if you're making actions that don't align with them, then you might as well not be making any actions at all. Because if you are working against who you are as a person, those changes won't stick. And why would you want them to? So, right from the beginning, make sure you have what your values are and ensure that your goals align with said values. Now, if that outline was still a bit rusty for you to understand, I did type it all out in the description down below, just so you can read through it and take from it what you wish. Definitely let me know down in the comments if you have already used something like this in one of your year plans and if it's worked for you, if it hasn't, and let me know what you think of this plan because I really want to know.